It is August 12th, 2025. Thank you for being here. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for your patience with this video. I know it's going to get a little long, but I want to get everyone covered with this. Now, I want to show you this area. This here is Tropical Storm Erin. It is moving very quickly. It will get stronger. In this video, new areas that are in monitor mode. So I want to show you that. Now, as we go forward in time, there are going to be shifts in this, right? And that's what we're going to track together. What I like about hurricanes, I don't like hurricanes at all, but the one piece of it I like is sometimes they develop far enough out that gives me a good advance warning and time to give you the heads up. I really value your time, your property, and of course, lives, no doubt. So I will give you the heads up if we need to go into action mode. But this is Tropical Storm Erin right now. This is moving very quickly. Now, the next couple of days, there's some dry air around it, but it will get stronger as it continues to make its move off toward the west, and then there will be a little bit of a turn, right? That's what we talked about yesterday. How much of a turn, how quickly that happens, that's what I'm working on to kind of be determined. But since it is so far out here, I do expect some changes in it. That's going to happen, and that's what I'll fine-tune with you over the next few days. Now, all of the models have this becoming a hurricane. Not quite yet because of that dry air around it. It's not, as of now, it's not a good-looking system, which is good for us. That's what we like. But the American, the European, Canadian, the ICON models all have this becoming a hurricane, and a rather aggressive one, potentially a major hurricane, which would be Category 3 or higher. So here is the most likely path. Now, I showed you this yesterday morning, and it is on track. There are going to be some shifts to this as we go forward, and I'll let you know about that. But as of now, just kind of expanding out the timeline as a whole. Here we are now, and then by Thursday, once it battles through some of that dry air, which is our friend, it will enter in an environment where it could develop, it should develop even more so. It will become a hurricane and then approach us in the northeastern Caribbean. But there will be a little bit of a turn as we work our way toward the end of the week. That's exactly what we need. We actually need a big turn. I do not wish this on anyone, though. Always be mindful of Bermuda. We're watching the Bahamas, back through the Turks and Caicos, back through the U.S. So a lot to cover, and this is very early with the system. It just came off the coast of Africa. Winds right now at about 45 miles per hour, so minimal tropical storm at this point. It is moving quickly off toward the west, and then eventually not only becoming a hurricane, but it should become that major hurricane as conditions unfortunately become conducive for even extra development, more development as we get down the road. Now, here's the update on this as far as monitor mode goes. This is not action mode. I know there's a lot of folks out there making some initial preps, and I'm not against that sort of thing because it's always good to have some preparations as we get deeper into the hurricane season. Most of hurricane season is really out ahead of us at this point, but with that said, we are not in action mode. But I did expand this to include Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Maarten, St. Barts, Antigua, Barbuda, Saba, Statia, St. Kitts, and Nevis. We're all in monitor mode, so I do appreciate you spreading the word. Love subscribers to this channel because it is the best weather community around, but subscribe or don't subscribe, just really want to get the information out there. So thank you for spreading the word about this. Monitor mode, so what does that mean? Heightened alert, we're spreading the word. Tomorrow, though, if I see any shift a little bit closer to us, any shift at all kind of closes the window for preparation. Some of us would have to go into action mode. As of now, I'm not seeing that, but by tomorrow, if I do see a shift in the next video, I will let you know who needs to go into action mode. But right now, monitor mode being very clear, island by island, not in action mode yet. Now, here's a little bit of a change. The American model is now a little bit more away. The European model shifted a bit closer, just kind of swapping spots, but overall showing the same distance, the center of this from Anguilla, about 300 miles, 250 miles to about 300 miles away, or 400 kilometers away to 480 kilometers away. That would keep the center, the worst weather away. If it stays on this heading, we will be okay. Any shift to the south, that could bring in some bigger rain bands, although some of us need the rain. Nobody needs or wants a hurricane or tropical storm, but any shift more to the south, that could bring in more in the way of significant weather. I'll be able to fine-tune that further tomorrow, and of course, as we get a little bit more out in time, I'll be able to break down exactly the winds. I'll show you in some upcoming videos. I'll dissect the winds in this. Now, here's a look. I like this map because it does look a little scary. It shows all these crazy lines, but it shows us also the uncertainty of this system and just how far away it is. A lot of certainty over the next several days, right? Then as we go on time here, this is by the time we get into Friday, and you see very good agreement. Now, by Thursday into Friday, there will be that little turn back toward the west-northwest. How soon that happens, though, that'll be key to see how close this gets to the northeastern Caribbean. Everything on track as of now. I did expand monitor mode, but as we go out in time here, you could see these little L's, and that just shows you where the center, the chances of the center kind of passing by. A huge spread in that. Anywhere from the northeast Caribbean, where we are in monitor mode, to the north, but most of the modeling, this is the inside look at the European model, is to the north. Again, these are typically large systems, but that would keep the worst weather away. But this just shows you the spread, and that's why we're in monitor mode. Why don't take chances with your livelihood. So we are spreading the word about this. And then as we work our way here, this is by Sunday, and you see the spread in this. But almost all of the models have this north of Puerto Rico, not coming into Puerto Rico. But again, I'll be able to see shortly, a day or two, how much of a turn this will take. And then most of the models doing a shift, a little bit of a curve here. This would be by next week, by Tuesday. Now, I've been doing this for decades. This is way down the road. This is a week from now. We could go back and look at this video, a week out in time, and we're going to see these big changes. Sometimes you see these models and they just kind of keep shifting their way back closer to land. So that's why I'm really looking at the environment, not just the computer models. And what I need to see over the next day or two is that dry air around it, how quickly this will develop, and then I'll be able to get a good gauge on the turn, the area of high pressure, all that sciencey stuff that I try to leave a little bit behind the scenes, but that's what I'll be gauging for you. But you see the high uncertainty down the road. So again, watching over toward all of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, US, Bermuda, no doubt, keeping an eye on all of that for us. But the big thing is just getting the right information, non-hyped information out there about this area and what we're watching. But it is way the heck out there. And you see here, these are the kind of big gun, the big computer models, and they are all showing the center passing to the northeast of the Caribbean. But there was a little bit of a shift, a little bit more to the south. I want to see if that trend continues, because what's happening is we're kind of gauging that area of high pressure to the north, how strong it is, and then there's a front up to the north. So just kind of trying to see when it will make that turn. That's what I'm looking out for over the next 12 to 28 hours. Now, those same squiggly lines going out in time, this is 24 hours out in time, this is 2 days out, 3 days out, 4 days out, 4 days out in time. Some of these computer models are, well, they're basically garbage, but a lot of them, these ones are really the stronger ones. These ones here all show a hurricane, and then are really strengthening a hurricane as we get down the road, potentially into this shading here, Category 3 hurricane, right? And that's why I will give you that advance warning if we need to go into action mode, if we do. Now, here's a look at the European model, and I want to show you the American model. Here we are in the Caribbean. Here is this area here. Now, jumped ahead in time a little bit. This is Thursday, right? This is what I mentioned. I'm kind of gauging this front. There's a little trough in here, if you will. This will give it a window to make a curve, but I'm not set yet on how much of a curve this is going to make. But this here is by Friday. So this is as we work our way into Friday. Here we are in Haiti. Here's Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Antigua, Barbuda, down through Trinidad and Tobago, southeastern Caribbean. It's not coming in here. You can see it right here. Here's that front back to the north. Now this front will start to work away, and then this area starts to move closer by the time we get into Saturday. And you can see this would keep the center in the heaviest weather, the worst weather, all well to the north, safely to the north, but it has shifted a little bit more to the south. So with that, there could be some of those kind of outer rain bands that hopefully would be a good thing to help fill up the cisterns and that sort of thing. And then this will be passing on Sunday. This would be to the north. Again, this is according to the European model. I do expect this to change some, but this would be to the north of the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, to the north of Antigua, Barbuda. Here's Bermuda right in through here, and then eventually the European model showing more of that turn, more to the northwest, and then eventually to the north. This would be by Monday into into Tuesday, and you can see this system here. At this point, it is showing what a lot of the models are showing, not just a turn, but the intensity of this, and that's why, of course, it's a big concern, developing into a major hurricane. Now, any more of a shift back toward the west would put the Bahamas at risk, potentially parts of the United States, and then by the time we get into next week, and I trust you as viewers and subscribers to this channel. I see your comments, and you have a lot of knowledge, and that's why I'm not afraid to show you this. This is by Wednesday. This here is Bermuda, for example, and it shows this area here, but I mentioned that in your weather savviness because this is going to change, right? This is 7 to 8 days out. So this hurricane, maybe it'll be over here at this point. Hope not. Maybe it'll be over Bermuda. I hope not. Hopefully more off toward the east and over the water. But this is going to change. But it does show that curve. But the key is, when does it make its turn? And I don't know that yet. I'll let you know what I know and what I don't know. The system has barely developed. I need to see it develop first a little bit more, and that'll give me a good gauge on exactly where it will go. So here's the American model. Very much in line, right? There's no big differences in a lot of the models. This here is by Thursday, the American model showing this. And now as we pull out in time here, same thing, waiting for the turn. Once it develops by Thursday, I'll have a good handle on it making its turn. High pressure to the north, allowing it to go to the west, but that starts to move away. This area starts to move in a little front, allowing it to make a turn. How quickly to be determined. Does it take a quicker turn and then hopefully to the east of Bermuda? Or it's a little bit closer to us in the Caribbean and then approaches the Bahamas. That's what we're going to wait and see. But tomorrow, if I see any indication of this coming close to land, we'll go into action mode because we can't mess around as we get a little bit closer. Then on Friday, just like the European model, the core of this is well off toward the east and northeast. It does show a little bit of rain out ahead of it. Sometimes you get a predecessor rain event out ahead of these things. Not a huge issue as a whole. So there may be a little extra rain thrown into our direction, but the American model has this passing well to the north, even more to the north, right? That would be some good news. Even more to the north of the European model. So both of the big models show this passing to the north at this point, and then eventually going out in time here. As I mentioned, this is Saturday. Watching your time frame, here are the northern, central, southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Haiti, the DR, Puerto Rico. This would be north of the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, north of Puerto Rico by good measure on Sunday. If this holds, keeping an eye on this front to see how much this front helps kind of draw this area back to the north, and then by early next week, very much like the European model, sitting somewhere maybe just to the south there of Bermuda, just off toward the east of the Bahamas. Long term, we always think of past storms, right? You can see here, this would be by the time we get into Tuesday, potentially, if this were to pan out, these would be high impacts in Bermuda. We'll see, but this is over a week from now, and we know this can change. But you think of past storms, and I always look at little keys. Every single storm is different. I saw some of the comments yesterday mentioning Dorian, of course. Dorian stalled out. There's no indication that this storm is going to stall out in any way, shape, or form. It'll be moving, but the concern will be, obviously, the turn, but the strength of this, because if it does start to work into land, that no doubt is going to be a big issue, because this is going to eventually be a powerful system. Here's one of the reasons why. The water temps are always warm this time of year. It's summer, but through the Gulf, into the northern Caribbean, back through Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Cuba, through the Bahamas, back through Bermuda, very warm, a little extra warm in this pocket here. So if anything rides closer to land, it is really going to feed off the water temperatures. It's not just what's going on at the surface, it's also what's going on above, but that is going to allow it to strengthen, especially if it gets closer to land. So high concern. Now here's a closer look. First thing is first, seeing some of that rain, Providencia, San Andres, Honduras, Belize, Roatan, pulling back toward the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. All eyes on this by the time we get through the end of the week. By tomorrow, we'll see if any of us need to go into action mode or if we're still in monitor mode. And then this is by Thursday, and you can see this area off toward the northeast. Thursday developing further. Thursday making more of that turn to the west northwest, and you can see as we go into Thursday and Friday that turn more to the west northwest, right? You just saw that right there. potentially throwing some additional rain out into our direction that would not be too troublesome. Actually, that could be a benefit where we have been so dry. But the core of this over here, and the American model again on Saturday, like the European model, showing this to the northeast. Yes, there could be some of those feeder bands. If this were to stay here, those feeder bands are those long stretching bands of some rain and storms. Could be quite gusty, even a water spout threat in some of those. But just watching some additional rain, it may pull up. But the core of this would be to the north. This here is by the time we get into Sunday. So of course, then watching the Turks and Caicos, all of the Bahamas, watching the DR, Haiti. But again, everything showing it north of Puerto Rico at this time. I will not take any chances though. Next 24 hours critical to see if we need to go from monitor mode to action mode. And look at the wave heights build. Bit of a chop as we work our way south of Haiti, Jacmel South, as we work our way south of Kingston. And then you can see here the wave heights obviously really building, the swells working in. This here is by Friday, then we'll just swing into the weekend. So later this week, Atlantic passageways will be very, very dangerous, and we'll see that all the way through the weekend into next week. Look at these swells building feet here, or excuse me, meters here, feet on the right-hand side of your screen. Doing my best to keep everyone covered. And then you can see out in time these swells already starting to work into parts of the southeast U.S. Over toward the Bahamas. Of course, this here is by Monday, and this is really dependent on where the heck this goes. This is well down the road, but just to show you an idea of some of the influence this is going to have, no doubt, across the water in a large fashion. Now, watching that rain not really developing over toward the Gulf, little spot here. Watching the southeast U.S. has been very active. Scattered storms back through the Great Lakes, Quebec, Ontario, and there is Tropical Storm Erin right now. You can see it on the right-hand side of your screen. Monitoring that flood threat as well back toward parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Mexico itself, and even scattered about some heavy storms, flood threat parts of Texas. And then you can see there is Erin. And watch this, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island. We have been so dry. The rain chance is not super high. I do want to caution that, but there is a chance of getting some of that rain. You see Nova Scotia as we work our way back toward a late Thursday night. Better chance of some of that rain popping up. So as far as the tropics go, right now we are on Erin. Ferdinand is the next name on the list, and then Gabrielle. And note that with that said, we are watching Erin. There are some big tropical waves back behind it. We're going to see that over the next few months. I will be watching as well to see if I see any signs of those developing. Out here in the Pacific, this here is Henriette. Well to the north of the Hawaiian Islands. Eastern Pacific, not a whole lot. Central Pacific, except for Henriette. Keeping an eye on this area here south of Mexico. This one may develop in the Eastern Pacific side the next few days, but this is all the way through the end of the week into the upcoming weekend. So that may eventually become a tropical storm. But some heavier rain totals. Parts, I'll show you we'll zoom back toward parts of the northern Gulf in a second. Bahamas, we don't have a whole lot. We're looking at a hit or miss shower that will be around. A couple thunderstorms possible, though. The DR, Haiti, Cuba, even a hit or miss storm for us in Jamaica, right? If we get a storm in Jamaica, it could be on the strong side the next couple days. Quick 25 millimeters of rain or an inch of rain. Same thing, Puerto Rico, U.S. British Virgin Islands. But as a whole, the rain chance not super high. So Dominica South, St. Lucia, Martinique, Barbados, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. Most spots, if we get a shower, maybe 10 millimeters of some rain. A little bit more as we work our way into parts of Guyana, Suriname, and Venezuela. But watching that surge of moisture I just showed you, that will try to pivot its way back toward Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, eastern Honduras, Nicaragua, parts of Costa Rica, western Panama. Better chance of getting some of the rain. Mexico City, here's that feed up toward parts of Arizona and New Mexico. Watching out for the flood threat in some of these pockets here. And you can see across the southeast, 3 to 4 inches of rain possible with some additional thunderstorms that will be around. So Jamaica isolated for us today. By Thursday, we have about a 50% chance of some storms around, 20% chance in the next couple of days in the Cayman Islands. Trinidad and Tobago, our rain chance not super high today, a little bit higher as we work our way toward the end of the week. Barbados, 20 to 30% chance. We have a 30% chance of a passing shower in St. Lucia, 30% chance as we work our way back through Grenada, and just a 20% chance the next couple of days, St. Vincent the Grenadines. Martinique, rain chance 20 to 30%, 20 to 30% chance as well in Dominica. You see, again, that rain chance not too high. USVI, Guadalupe, 20% chance. Of course, all eyes on what's going on in the Atlantic, Antigua, Barbuda, 20% rain chance. We are in monitor mode. St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, rain chance just about 20%. Anguilla and St. Barts, and a 20% chance the next 3 days. St. Maarten, Saba, and Statia. Isolated thunderstorms a possibility the next 3 days as we work our way back through Puerto Rico. Just about a 20, maybe 30% chance U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Bahamas, we're looking at a 40% chance of scattered showers favoring the northern Bahamas today. Freeport and New Providence. Turks and Caicos, rain chance limited, but some scattered storms possible across the Dominican Republic, and a few possible as well as we work our way into Haiti. We could see some of those scattered storms. Rain chance in Belize for us. It is going to be bumping up. Got you covered tropical wise as we go throughout the hurricane season. If anything starts to work its way toward the Yucatan Peninsula, we work our way back through Aruba. 20% chance of a shower. 20% chance of a shower. Curacao and Bonaire. 50 to 60% chance in Guyana today, and about a 50 to 60% chance the next few days as we work our way through Suriname. Rain chance 50% in Cuba. Some scattered thunderstorms. 70% chance Costa Rica and Panama. I was highlighting that earlier. Nicaragua, eastern sections, better chance of rain. Eastern sections of Honduras, better chance of rain, and a 60% chance today. Guatemala and El Salvador, a 70% chance back through Mexico City. And you see the rain chance kind of scattered about Yucatan Peninsula and then south as we work our way again into Belize and the rest of Central America. Some scattered areas of rain with us. 40% chance northern Colombia, 40 to 50% chance the next 2 days in northern Venezuela. And Bermuda, watching that front nearby, that could give us a couple showers. Of course, all eyes on Tropical Storm Erin. So Tropical Storm Erin moving pretty fast, moving quickly off toward the west. It will become a hurricane. Monitor mode throughout much of the northeastern and parts of the northern Caribbean at this point. I'll be tracking how close it gets to land. Tomorrow's video, I'll dissect the winds in this and if we need to go into action mode in some spots. So thank you for your trust as we go throughout the hurricane season. I do hope you're doing well. Have a good day ahead.